What up, y'all? It's T-Tar, and today we're looking at more of y'all's theories for Pokemon in 2024. Let's go. First off, we got this one that Pokebeach sent me to stir the pot. It goes, Johto and Unova in the TCG. Shout out Pokebeach, thanks for supporting me, my dude. Hey, old friend, here's some Johto and Unova cards to stir your theories. So I'll link this in the description. Here's what's going on with the latest sets, right? The newest set for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet's TCG is called Temporal Forces, and it comes out in March. But in Japanese, it's coming out right now on January 26th, split into two. That's how they do it in Japan. The two are called Wild Force and Cyber Judge, and they're actually based on the two Paradox sets. The Johto trio for Wild Force and Cyber Judge for the Unova ones. Both of those names are crazy. It's like these three are Terminator judges from the future, and then these three are just like feral monsters. Now, the TCG is something interesting to note because quickly after the Indigo disc came out, I started seeing cards of Gouging Fire, which means, I mean, this was obvious, but Pokemon gives early notes to, you know, people who gotta make merchandise, the TCG, especially the anime. So if you wanted to stir the pot, there's something with how this set is laid out that's kind of interesting. This first goes back to Riddler Coup, right? He posted this picture of the four maps. Johto and Unova are there. We've tried to solve this in one way, but we still gotta remember the original riddle. Then we go to this tweet where he puts an old unevolved Johto Pokemon and this futuristic Unova Pokemon, and he writes which, as in he's asking us what we think is happening this year. And then in Scarlet and Violet, because they made both of these Paradox sets and put a past focus on Johto and a future focus on Unova, it's led to a bunch of different theories. One, a Unova game in the future, a Johto game in the past, both games in 2024, which means the answer to Ku's riddle would be both, because he put all four of these for 2024. So now going back to the set, by the way, these cards look insane. Look at this Gouging Fire in the tropical jungle. Darn, this is what I wanted to see. This is what Sada is seeing. The TCG does a great job showcasing this is probably what it looks like in the past. We got Suicune on like a giant tree branch over a waterfall. Raikou just in the luscious plains. I know if Pokemon had more time, they would have given us the Paradox Worlds. And if it was worth it to them to do so, you can experience it well in the TCG like this. So here's the thing, along with having the past Johto beasts, it has a Johto hint to it. Morty's on it, Gengar's on it. Then you go to the Cyber Judge set, and there's a mini hint of a Unova theme going on. By the way, look at this secret rare 4 seasons Deerling and Sawsbuck. Other Unova cards and Bianca. So the TCG themselves put a Johto and Unova flavor in these two. So it's stirring the pot. It's bringing back up to the forefront, if the TCG did get any notes from Pokemon, that maybe Unova and Johto really both have a focus in 2024. Like both of them would get games. We're just speculating. So one way to make sense of that is like ILCA making a BDSP like Johto, and then Game Freak working on like this big Unova game. It's kind of the opposite of the theories we've been talking about. And so this is also why Ku would have phrased his teaser like this, showing a more simple Johto and Unova with that flair to it. I am terrified of this theory. Another way this could work is if this whole year is focused on those ILCA Johto games, and what they just do is tease something is coming in the future, the same way in 2017 they were teasing Sword and Shield very vaguely, and so that would come out in 2025, but since it's teased in 2024, that's why Ku put in his predictions. Y'all let me know in the comments. Comment if you think it's Johto and Unova this year, or just one of them. New Pokemon forms and evolutions for Legends Johto. My dudes. Hey T-Tar, I've been watching your videos about Legends Johto. So I talked about Lugia and Ho-Oh getting forms, right? But they have another Pokemon that you could put a spin on. It's a certain shiny Pokemon that comes to mind when you're thinking Johto. The red Gyarados. Now this is crazy, but let's see what you gotta say first. The Lake of Rage Gyarados. I do believe we could get a new form or evolution for Gyarados. I highly prefer a new evolution. It could go from possibly a Chinese sea serpent to a Chinese dragon, letting Gyarados finally gain the water dragon type. Now this only works in a reimagined Johto, right? It won't work for a BDSP like Johto, but this is something cool. I hope you like my idea. So I'm gonna put a spin on this, right? Gyarados and Magikarp are based off the myth where a little weak ass koi fish keeps trying to climb up this waterfall, and it's like determination when it finally does, puts it apart from the rest, and it turns into this evolved dragon. It's a symbol of the weak useless fish, you know, freaking James kicked it, you know, believing in itself and awakening the true potential it has inside. So there's a different spin you can put on this, right? So far, what Gyarados is it just evolves from Magikarp at level 20. It is still based off the same myth. They just didn't have intricate like level up and evolution methods back then. What Pokemon could do is two different paths. Either you introduce an actual evolution of Gyarados, like in like a Legends Johto, right? You show there was this evolved Gyarados that used to live in the Lake of Rage, right? And it's like this super angry looking Gyarados that's naturally red. And so this is over 100 years ago in like a Legends Johto, right? So all the local people would say, do not go to the Lake of Rage. It's tormented by a monster. And what would actually be there is this evolved like crimson red Gyarados. And it would also have a gang of like 6 red Gyarados, like the shiny ones. And so what would ultimately happen by the end of the game is something would happen to the monster evolved Gyarados, and only one of the remaining red Gyarados would survive to the modern day. And that's why you find it there. You could paint that kind of story. And so yes, I know it gets weird because Gyarados has a Mega Evolution. We kind of got past this with Duraludon. It's still rare for Game Freak to like overwrite one of their this Pokemon ain't evolving Pokemon. And so this leads to the other idea, which is now that we're in an updated Pokemon and they can do all kinds of different evolution methods, what you could introduce is a Magikarp that evolves differently. But this is like an evolution you're not allowed to get normally. It's essentially like Bloodmoon Ursaluna. It's just a Magikarp that back in the Legends Johto days, that it actually conquered the waterfall. And when it evolved, it didn't evolve into just Gyarados. It evolved into this giant like kingly dragon. And so pretty much the same story I said, except it's not a Gyarados evolution. And so you could kind of look at what the current Gyaradoses are as just Magikarp awakening its potential on a basic level. And this mythical Chinese dragon that evolves from Magikarp would be the actual legend and potential inside. Honestly, for a reimagined Johto, this would be a really cool idea. And yeah, it has to be a water dragon type. Or honestly, it could just completely go out of the water and turn from a water type into a flying dragon type, though flying dragon's kind of boring nowadays. Probably water dragon is best. I'm thinking of like Shenron, right? This is like the kind of dragon Gyarados would look like. You would go to the Lake of Rage and you would see the dragon circling around, kind of like that Mount Coronet storm. And there'd probably be NPCs telling you you can't go any further. It'd probably be some endgame stuff. This is a really cool idea because it's fun to poke fun at what was originally unique in the first Johto games. And also showing that red Gyarados that we meet is just like a baby compared to what actually used to be there, I think would be cool. You know what? I'll share some stats with y'all. Let's just play fun with stats. This also brings up a cool idea concerning Gyarados' like sister-in-law, if you know what I'm talking about. But we're not going to focus on that in this video. Here's Magikarp, right? All of its stats are poo. It's somehow still stronger than Sunkern, that's good. But when it evolves, it goes from 200 base stats to 540, which is high Drapos. So this dude gets 3rd stage evolution like stats with this. What's funny about 540 is here's Duraludon. Its stats were 535 when it evolved and hit 600. So going by the first idea with Gyarados evolving, you could make this 540 straight up hit 600. And he becomes like an honorary pseudo. But yeah, going by this idea, being the king of the Gyarados and an evolution we're not going to be able to normally get, since Gyarados is 540, it can be as low as like 550. Because Pokemon's mean sometimes. They would make the gang leader just be 10 BST higher. But if they wanted to do it a bit more right, they can make it 600. And it would actually be an honorary pseudo-legendary like Arcaludon. You could also do something cool where you make this mythical Gyarados. It would probably have a different name, by the way. It wouldn't just be like a regional mythical variant. It would actually be called like, well, let's make up a name for it. So these Chinese dragons, the way they're named, they typically get long at the end of their name. So you have like Huanglong, Shenlong, which seems to be what Shenron is based off, Panlong, Shilong, Fukanglong. I know I'm saying them wrong. So you could do something where you make a spin on Gyarados' name, but make it this big dragon. So Gyaralong. I know that doesn't sound very exciting to us in English, but give it time, anything will sound exciting. So Gyarados is still called Gyarados in Japanese, which is kind of interesting. It's kind of like it already is a mini legendary Pokemon. So the same name could play out. It could be called Gyaralong in Japanese and English. And the waterfall that the koi fish has to climb is called the Dragon Gate. And so what Gyarados can have is a signature move, like this water move, named something based off the Dragon Gate, and it'd be its own special move. You know what'd be crazy? Imagine it was like a electric dragon type. Because I'm completely taking it out of the seas, right? Think of it as being that much the embodiment of the Lake of Rage that it actually is among the clouds and has like nothing to do with the water type anymore. And also fittingly, electric is what the Gyarados are weak to. Oh yeah, the point I was trying to say is when Gyarados Mega Evolves, it gets these certain features, right? You can make Gyarados take on some of those features to show that when Gyarados Mega Evolves, it's tapping into some of that latent power that it couldn't achieve. Anyhow, my dudes, make sure to shank that like button. Do you think a Gyarados evolution would be cool? It'd be this red enraged dragon that circles in the sky over the Lake of Rage. I think it'd be pretty cool. We got 5 weeks until Pokemon Day. Unova or Johto. Let's see what awaits us. The TCG seems to hint both, but me, as a representative of the dumbass gang, hints just Johto. So let's see what happens. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.